Hey guys, this is one of those topics that once you guys see it, you cannot unsee it. Meaning they'll be super obvious. But then until you see it, you have no idea what's happening. Okay, so number one, okay, most people in the market have no idea why venture capital people are way different than funders. Okay, number one, he was right, but it's not always true. Venture capital people will normally want to get someone on equity, but that's not always true. So what it said was basically with grants, they have certain kind of conditions, like this money can only be used for your prototype, not the human resource. So you cannot spend the money on wages. So basically in venture capital company, we do an MIG structure. M is management, I is investment, and G is governance. So what we do is we might actually put some management control over your firm, meaning that we might actually come in at the board level and tell you guys what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. I is investment, basically we'll invest, and G is governance. So we will actually, from the board level and also from the HR level, we'll be able to say, you hire this, you don't hire this makes sense more, I want a new CEO and stuff like that. Like back when in Facebook when Mark Zuckerberg was not the CEO, the board told him to like get the hell out first and then come back later on. So they have the power to do that because they sit in the board. Okay, so that's venture capital. Now next question. Angels. What's the difference between angels and venture caps? So angels, their risk return profile is way higher. So their ability to take risk is way higher. So they will normally come in at the very seed stage. Because your startup, right, is the most riskiest in the seed stage. Okay? And angels normally will be a single person, and they'll come in and just invest money that they have like in cash. So normally they'll spend like the 5% of the money left, kind of they don't mind not getting it back. And angels have the ability to work really closely with you because they believe in your idea. So they come in and help you and stuff like that. Both of them, they want equity back. But there might be sometimes they won't want that, but I'll explain to you when that happens. Equity. So what is equity? Control. Equity is a control that you have in a company. Practically, that's the best way to think about it. Okay. Next, convertible debt. Okay, who knows what's this? Okay, so I said that equity is control in the company, right? But what if I don't want to give control? What I can do is I can take their money and I can give something called a convertible debt. So what happens is it's convertible. So until I convert, it'll be a loan. When I convert, it can convert into equity. So basically, let's say Gwenny gives me like $1 million. What I can do is I can give her like this paper, says it's a loan, but in the case that I want to practice it, then it will convert into equity at that valuation. So it's a way for me to run away from equity for a bit. Okay? But ultimately, whoever that gets into the convertible loan structure will want to convert, ultimately. Okay? There are times that they want to convert because the valuation is too low and stuff like that. Okay? But ultimately, they do want to convert. What's the difference between convertible debt and convertible equity? This is something that most people have no idea about. Maverick? No idea. Anybody? Okay, so what happened recently is, right, when you take convertible loan structure, in your book, it will go under loan, which is not really good when you do all the ratios and stuff like that. Because your whole financial analysis will look like you went through some huge amount of like loss and stuff like that. Because it goes under loan. Okay, so what we recently did was we went through this particular way of actually putting a convertible equity. So it doesn't go under loan anymore. Okay, so basically what happens is it looks clean in your book, but it's the same thing. Okay, so if you have an option to choose between loan and equity, choose convertible equity. It only adds 2 different clauses in your term sheet, but it makes your life so much easier and it makes your company look better. Okay, so this is like the first thing that most people have no idea about. Always offer convertible equity if they're open for it, and it's only 2 different clauses. When they won't want this is basically when the venture cap is moved on from the seed side, we are at the very late side, like Series B, Series C. I don't want this, mainly because I want straight equity, because I know the price won't inflate too much. Okay, but don't worry about that. That's confusing information, but don't worry about it. Okay, so lawyers get paid when you have transactions. Lawyers get paid when you sign something. Who's signing more, the venture cap or the entrepreneur? Venture cap, right? So they normally end up signing the venture cap because the terms kind of make sense and they get more money out of it. It's always like that. Most lawyers will cite the venture cap. Okay, and of course there are some startup friendly lawyers. If you guys need a list of startup friendly lawyers, then you guys can ask me. There are some in Malaysia that are really good, but there are a lot that actually end up supporting the VC. Pre-money. Who knows what's pre-money? Okay, so this is my startup. Okay, I'm holding my startup. Okay, the first tangible startup in the world. Okay, so basically what happens here is, right, when I have a pre-money valuation, that's the price I'm trying to sell. That's the price that I'm going to the market with. Post-money valuation, everything's said and done, money is already in the account and stuff like that. What is it worth now? Okay, so that's pre-money and post-money. Okay, but sometimes they'll explain it's post-money. Okay, so always check whether it's pre-money valuation or post-money valuation. Because pre-money can be 1 million, post-money can be 5 million. It's a huge difference. Because I just injected, like, say, 4 million with another 3-4 venture caps. Okay, that thing can change really quickly. Okay, next one. Okay, so those are all the definitions and stuff like that before we start talking. Okay, so the best way to think about an entrepreneur is like a Pokemon. Okay, because us being a venture cap company kind of thing, we go out and we want to capture good entrepreneurs and good startups. That's it. So we throw a Pokemon, we want to catch them. That's it. It's practically like that. And some Pokemons are like too tough to capture. Some Pokemons are like very stubborn and stuff like that. It's the same thing. Okay, so you know why I picked this one? Who knows about the Pokemon series, the first one? Okay, you know that when the fella grows up, right, he'll become too lazy and don't want to talk to you and stuff like that, right? Exactly what happens with the entrepreneurs. Exactly what happens, which is why I put this. Okay, so basically let's assume this is a seed stage, A, B, and C. Okay, now of seed A, B, and C, which level you have the most amount of experience? Which level you'll have the most amount of experience? C, correct. Which amount will make the most amount of mistakes? You okay or no, bro? Okay, because he's like, A is seed. I'm like, what are you trying to say? Okay, cool. So you see, because here you make the most amount of mistakes, you have least amount of experience, although you're a serial entrepreneur and stuff like that. That's when the risk is highest for us, right? But if you really think about it, this is when we don't want to work with you, because you're like too big and it's like too hard to capture you and stuff like that, right? So what happens normally is this part riskiest, but the easiest to invest and easiest to get them on board. It's the same Pokemon kind of thinking, you know. It's the same thing. Okay? Okay, number 2 thing. Basically what normally happens here is, right, some company after the A level, they don't want to grow. Like a Pokemon, they can deny. Right? They don't want to grow and they just like stay at that level. They don't want to race anymore and stuff like that. They don't want to grow bigger and stuff like that. So this can actually happen, you know. Imagine like a Pokemon. Okay? And I'm going to get in depth with this, okay? Okay, so what happens normally is venture cap, we are really, really interested in this part, series A. Why? Because the seed is too risky for us. Okay, and we leave the seed to some other group. I'll explain who. But as a venture cap, we are really, really interested in A because we know you can become this, and we know that you have shown success by moving to this to this. Okay, and correct. Okay, and this one. Okay, so basically what happens here is, right, in order to raise money, it's easy here, it's very, very hard here, it's easy, and this is the easiest. A is the most volatile part of the startup because when I start a seed stage, right, I know I want to do this and I grow and I realize it's all plateauing, I need more money to pivot. Number 1. Okay. Number 2. During seed, your books will be fucking crazy, meaning you put everything inside and we don't know what you're talking about. But when you become A, you're trying to clean it up, but we can still see it. In B, it's already clean. You see what I mean? Okay, number 3. During seed, you are structured everything wrong, you know. Your angel came in and holding like 80%. We cannot come in for the rest of 20%. Right? So all these things can happen. So in order to get funded during seed period is easier compared to A. Okay, this is one of the things that people don't understand. If you guys Google the Series A crunch, it's a real thing. This is actually a graph that you guys can see like easy, hard, and then it's like easy, easiest. It's a real thing. It's a Series A crunch. Who knows Dave McClaw? Okay, Dave McClaw exclusively invests here and here. That's it, Kylie as well. They have this shirt that says 500 startups. At the back, he says, fuck the crunch. That's what they're talking about. No, I'm joking. I went to a seminar, then he was there, and then people are like, what is fuck the crunch? And I'm like, okay, never mind. But that's what he's talking about. Okay, because they really invest in just that part. Because they have figured out a way to scale investing in that part. Okay, that's the modus operandi. Okay, next one. Wait up, I think I switched the slide wrong. Okay, cool. Okay, so the seed part, mostly you'll get funded by angels. Most venture cap won't come there. Unless they are like 500 startups where they need to fund like a huge amount of startups. Like if you talk to Mark Anderson, who not, their company, they won't invest in the seed level. That's what I said. But in the VC level, we normally tend to combine. Half VC, angels will come in and fill out the gap and stuff like that. I've seen some B level, like Peter Thiel, have done stuff like this, but then most of the time it's just VCs and VCs. This is like super VCs, huge VCs. Okay? Now, if you want to go into an entrepreneur cycle, in your level here, you want to use convertible loan, and then you want to use equity all the way. Meaning when people put in money, you want to give them convertible loan or equity, and then plain equity all the way. So when I first go into the business, right, there's two things I have no idea. One, how much traction I'm going to get, and how much is my valuation. Because all this happened here, and no history, nothing like that. So at the seed stage, you don't want to do the valuation yet. So you put the loan first, meaning it's just a paper, I don't know valuation, chill out first. And then when they convert it to equity here, that valuation is set by a VC company, I have traction and all that. So what I can do is I can pack the valuation to the future. So my whole money raising becomes easier for me because I don't have to talk about the valuation to the angel. Because if I go to the angel and I'm like, hey dude, I'm valued at 20,000, at 20 million, and then the angel will be like, no, I don't think so. See what's happening? You can avoid this particular conversation with the angel very early on. Okay, unless you are like Jack Dorsey, people behind Twitter or something like that. When he started Square, you straight away started with equity there. The reason for it, because he has a lot of like history and stuff like that, so people know that he's capable. Okay. Now, this particular thing I'll email you guys, but I'm going to explain to you guys what is this. It's a very complicated structure. I'll email you guys, don't worry, but I'll explain to you this. So I'm going to explain to you guys what normally happens. When you go meet the guy, don't ask him to sign an NDA. Never ask him to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Non-disclosure agreement is basically you are telling the angel to shut the fuck up. It's the same thing. Okay, never ask for a non-disclosure agreement because he might end up seeing like 1,000 different proposals or stuff like that, and he'll be like, what are you talking about? Because then he cannot find another idea that's similar to yours. Okay, number one. Second, when he gives you an advice, let's say the guy gives you like 2,000 advices, okay? Pick one, only one, and tell the guy you're going to do that. Don't say all 2,000. Okay, just pick one. That's another thing that people don't normally do. And then here, when you actually tell him what you're going to do, under promise and over deliver. Tell him that I'm going to try to reach 20 and then go and reach about 100. So he'll be like, oh my god, with my advice they got 5 hacks. But then you actually promise lower. So they feel like, wow, this team is so much capable. Okay? Next one, repeat this at least once. Okay? And then you ask for the money. Okay? This is the cycle that worked for us and it will probably work for you guys as well. Okay, BATNA is this. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Number one mistake, when you guys go talk to angels, you don't go with a but now, meaning that if I agreed something, what's the best alternative that I have? If you don't have that, you're naturally not going to get the money. Does that make sense to anyone? Okay, Maverick, why did you shake your head? Ayo, this Maverick. Okay. Indian. Okay, I'll explain to you guys. So again, angel, right? Now, if the angel go to me that, okay, I'm going to invest like 2 million in your startup. Okay? But if I don't, what's going to happen? You cannot answer that. And if it doesn't, really what are you going to do? You have no answer. See what just happened? I don't have a but now. Right? So but now the thing came about, people always use it in the startup circle, they were like, but nah, kind of thing. When you say to that person, what are you going to do? That's why it's but now. Okay? Leverage. Okay, this is what I really want to teach you guys. Okay, so I have some candidates I will show you guys in a bit. They also know they're going to come up and talk to you guys. But the first one, leverage. Whenever you go talk to VCs and seed funders, you want to have a leverage. Who doesn't know what's leverage? So basically when you go in, you have bargaining chip. It's like going to Vegas without chips. That's when you don't have leverage. Okay? And exactly like what Magda said, it's the same thing, but we are using it in a different way. I'll show you guys. Who knows what social proof? She just talked about it just now. Social proof is this. When you want to go to talk to an angel, you want to say X and Y is interested. Or you want to say that we have talked to Y and Z. We already got meeting with this person. What happens here is, right, I have a social proof, meaning I'm acceptable. Meaning I'm an okay idea, at least I got a meeting done. Most of the time what you guys do is like, you just straight away jump to an idea. You don't put this kind of things to me, Although I don't realize it, in my head I'm picking it up. My head is like, oh, they got some kind of attraction going on. Okay, it's cool. Okay, always figure out what's the social proof hook, as we normally call it. Meaning that even in an email, right, I'd be like, so and so asked me to meet you because you met them. That's a social proof. Okay, meaning I'm not a reclusive guy with ugly face and shit like that. Okay, I'm just a guy with ugly face, but I'm social proof. Okay, now authority. This is something that you really want to use if you're going for venture cap money. Authority is this. You want to point out somebody's name that has some level of authority that already in your board, advisors, or have already funded you guys. That's authority. It's slightly different than social proof, because social proof can be like some other company or stuff like that. Authority is this. So basically you can say that I have Kylie that's already agreed to become my advisor. That's somewhat authority when it comes to Malaysia. So you got to put what's your authority level as well. So in your pitch, right, you got to have a social proof hook, you got to have some authority hook. It can be also partners who already suggested like I have AirAsia on board to distribute my stuff. That's authority because they are the leaders in the market. If you have social proof but you don't have authority, meaning that in our head we think that okay, this guy got some kind of good networking skill, but he hasn't got anybody convinced. So the first one is for that, the second one is for this. Scarcity. This is something that most people never do to us because they feel like it's too rude to do this. Scarcity is this. You want to tell them that it's either you sign this in the next 5 minutes or I'll go back home. That's kind of scarcity, but this is what normally happens. You want to tell them how long you are trying to raise for, like 90 days or something like that, and then I already got this much amount and I'm only looking for this. So normally what I do is this. Let's say this is the first guy I'm meeting, right? And then I don't have any scarcity on board, right? So I'll say like I'm raising it for 90 days and I know that I can easily get about 700K and I only need about 100K more. See what I did? I just did the scarcity thing and I made it sure that I said I can easily get it. So you see what I just did? And do you guys get the trick? Meaning that if that's the first guy you're meeting, use the word easily get. Meaning that you want 800K, you want to tell them I can get about 700K easily and I'm only looking for 100K from you. That's telling him like if you don't give me 100K it's relatively easier because I already can find 700. So that's scarcity. Desirability. I think it's a lot of marketing talk now. You guys can go and ask Magda more. But then desirability is this. When you pitch, right, this is how you're supposed to do the pitch. A good pitch is like a burger. Okay? This is what you need. At the foundation, you need a good team. If not, nobody's going to invest in you. Okay? And your product should be the main thing. Without that, you cannot have a burger. Okay? So if you come and tell me like, dude, I have a good team, I have a good story, no mock-up, nothing, you cannot do anything. Because you don't have the meat part. Okay? And you need a good story. This is what people don't get. You need to be able to tell me a good story about your startup. It's either about your story about customers, or you want to tell me a story about how you went about creating it. That's why people block when you're in a startup. Because that's your way to tell story to a public audience, so you know which story works and which doesn't. Okay. Good product. A good product is a product that has a good market access and a big enough market. If not, by definition, it's not a good product. Okay? I'll explain to you guys. Most marketers will tell you guys, target a niche market and stuff like that. But don't go too niche. Okay, if you only have 10,000 customers, you'll probably fail. Why Alibaba made it? Because they have enough market in China that although they went IPO in US, no one has any idea about what they actually do. Right? Because the market is already there. Which is why when people come and say like, no worries, in 5 years, I'll be the number one in Malaysia. In our head, I'm like, the number one in Malaysia is not a big market. You got to be talking about at least number one in Southeast Asia or maybe expanding to China and India and stuff like that. Okay? So always have big market. This is the biggest problem. At least not now, you can be niche, but at least in the future, you need a big market. Next one. Distribution is part of a product. Most of the time, people will be like, this is my product, it functions this, MVP and all that. Because all this, they give you the training. But nobody talks about distribution. Not marketing, distribution. Marketing is how you reach a customer, but distribution is how you actually deliver the product to the customer. Meaning that, if let's say I produce a product, right, you got to know how to distribute it so that they can actually get access to it. Most of the time, you guys won't talk about this and talk about product. Okay? Next one. Good team, people with credibility. Don't have like some kind of X squad inside and all that, unless the guy is a really good coder or something that is cool. Okay? Stay close to cash flow. A good team is a team that can actually figure out cash flow. Meaning that if I ask the team, like, okay, let's say he's a team, I'm like, what are you doing to actually get money? What's your side job? Right? Then he has some way to make money. That's one way to show you got good amount of cash flow to work on your project. Number two, you already figure out a way to get cash flow within your project. That's a good team. Okay, next one. Good story is always a story about traction, which is why Kickstarter projects always make a lot of money. Because they always have some kind of traction proof. So, again, story traction, stay close to cash flow, people with credibility, distribution is part of the product and big market. These are always the big mistake that people make. Okay? Okay, my time is up. Yeah, like if you stay any longer, I'm going to snipe you for power. So, I'm going to get the fuck out. So, thank you so much.